just me and my life, like, I never thought I was going to start a company. Like, I didn't have aspirations for that at all. I would have thought my life was going to look very different than it does. I don't know. I just thought that wasn't really in the cards for me. I didn't have a personal draw toward business. I didn't see myself as an entrepreneur. I didn't go to school for business. I was interested in social work and helping people, but when I came across these principles, it was like a no-brainer. I thought, this is the quickest way to help humanity. It was so obvious to me when the first time I read The Enlightened Gardener by Sydney Banks. I remember having two thoughts immediately after I finished. One was, oh my God, this makes life make sense. That's so helpful. And two, I want to share this with people. That was it. I just had those two thoughts, and then I was kind of off and running with that, because that's what's amazing about the potential of the mind is you can go off and running in any direction, and you'll just get more ideas behind that direction automatically. So you could get ideas behind Michael's direction of, I'm a depressed person 2 weeks away from suicide, and then your mind will just keep seeing that, or you can have a different direction. And it was so interesting how kind of effortless everything played out after I had that thought of, this makes life make sense, and I want to share this with the world. And it was so surprising to me how many things I came up against that I wanted to go, ooh, but I can't do that. And one of the first ones was public speaking. Like, the thought of public speaking was so uncomfortable to me that even when I pursued this work and I was super passionate about it and inspired and really wanted to share this with the world, I didn't want to have to do that on a stage in front of people. I wanted to do it quietly, one-on-one, because you and me in a room wasn't scary to me. But this was terrifying. And it was just one conversation that Aaron and I had very early in my career where I was getting very nervous about, we were working with a group of like 30 or something. And I remember I did not sleep the whole night before. And that was my pattern up until then, because I had so much thinking about being nervous and uncomfortable about speaking in front of a group of people that I would keep myself awake worrying about that, and then to your point, trying to come up with a strategy to get rid of that bad feeling. So that just keeps you doubly up. So I would get up exhausted, and we were going to work with this group the next morning, and I think Aaron maybe could see it in my face, maybe was just, he's like, how you doing this morning? And I was like, yeah, I didn't really sleep last night, and I'm really nervous. And it was so intriguing to me because Aaron goes, yeah, me too. And he was so like, so anyway. And I remember thinking, you're nervous too? Because I look and feel like shit, but you look great. And you're telling me you're also nervous. Like, I don't get it. How can I have that? I want that. What did you do? And I said that to him. I said, oh, so you're nervous too? He says, oh yeah, I get nervous all the time. And I said, great. What do you do to get over that? And he laughed and he goes, you don't want to do anything. It's just a thought. And it was like, it's that again. It's that stupid thing again, like everywhere. I'm teaching this to people for a living, and I missed it right there in that one. And it was so, because I could see, oh yeah, he was lighthearted, not because he didn't have nerves, but because he wasn't trying to do anything with it. And I was heavy and burdened and exhausted and had stayed up all night because I was trying to fix it. And when he said that, I was like, oh yeah, what if I just didn't have to do anything with that? And it was the strangest experience, because I remember we sat down with that group and I had a little talk with myself in my head, which I realized is where I spend most of my life, is having talks with myself in my head. But it's like, okay, just be nervous. And I remember I set, and this is just totally arbitrary, this is stupid, I set one rule for myself, which was to not fall off the stool. Because before, I used to get so nervous I would get dizzy, and I would feel like I couldn't breathe, and I would think, I'm going to fall off. I'm literally going to tip over. I'm going to faint, and this is going to be so embarrassing. So I got on the stool, and I just thought, all right, the only thing you have to do is stay on the stool. Don't worry about anything else. It's like, all right, I can handle that. And to my surprise, 2 hours went by, and then Aaron said, well, should we take a break, and people can stretch and get some coffee? And all of a sudden, it was like, oh, I got unnervous, and I don't remember when. Like somehow I'd gotten involved in talking to a group of people, and I'd forgotten myself, and I'd forgotten my nerves. And all of a sudden, 2 hours had gone by, and when Aaron mentioned the clock, I thought, oh, wow. And for a split second, I tried to chase it and go, oh, how did I do that? Like, as if I made it happen. And I realized, oh, no, that's the whole thing. Don't do anything, and it'll happen to you. And so all of a sudden, public speaking became something that looked totally doable and in the realm of possible for me. And so since then, I've gone on to speak. We spoke a couple weeks ago at a conference with 600 people. A few months before that, I spoke to 800 people, and it doesn't bother me anymore, not because I don't have moments of fear, but because I understand the principles are on my side, not working against me. So if I don't do anything with it, suddenly it's possible to public speak. And then that has just been the metaphor for everything that's happened since. I remember when we decided to start our company, I sort of confessed to Aaron that I had these ideas of starting a company, and I was quite excited about that. And he said, oh, me too. And all of a sudden, before you know it, we were kind of talking out a business plan. And then I remember all of a sudden having this thought like, but we can't start a business. Like, I'm not someone who starts a business. And I immediately started thinking up all these limitations that looked real to me. And I remember saying to Aaron, like, so are we gonna, like, do this? And he's like, yeah, I don't see why not. And I was like, okay, like in a couple months? And he goes, how about now? And I was like, yeah, how about now? Like, in my head, it was like, you can't just do that, or you have to do that slowly. And it was so intriguing to be like, oh yeah, that's made up. Oh yeah, that's made up. And so my career and kind of where I am today, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow, but now I really feel like our next great adventure is really seeing, well, how could you bring an understanding of these principles to the whole wide world such that there would be a tipping point and everyone would know this, and therefore a lot of the problems that exist in the world today wouldn't exist anymore. And every time I've ever realized my head, my thoughts are going to come up with ideas and go, no, you can't do that. But when I see that's a thought, all of a sudden it's not a barrier anymore. And next thing I know, my head is automatically giving me ideas on how that's possible. I find that just so fascinating. Like, you know how your parents raise you saying, you could do anything? And you're like, yeah, no, I know, but within reason. Like, you get reasonable on yourself as if you don't want to disappoint or, shoot too high. And I've really started to see, no, that's actually, it's built into not just me, it's built into all of us, that you either, to Aaron's point, buy into thoughts that start to limit the idea of you, or you truly see that you only have an experience of yourself through thought. And one of the most fascinating things I've come to see is thought doesn't have lines. It doesn't have weight. None of us could put a thought on this stage and go, yeah, but what are we going to do about that? It's kind of taking up some space here. It's not very attractive. Like, you can't actually touch a thought because it's not actually made of anything. And if every person realizes, oh yeah, my experience of life and my experience of myself is made of thought, and what is thought? It's air. It's nothing. So it's really easy to move